Welcome to Good Sports, the Next Generation. I'm Dan Craven, and boy, do we have a show for you tonight. And we're flanked by my son, DJ, on my right. Good to have you back, DJ.
Good to be here.
It's a pleasure. I hope you guys did your homework. It's going to be a really good show tonight. Duane Kohler.
Dan.
We got you out of the cold.
Always a pleasure.
Now, what season are we, not just to get off the subject a little bit, what season are we in now? What are we allowed to shoot?
Season. It's archery season. This week, it's everything season. Turkey season's in, archery season for deer. It's rabbits and squirrels and grouse and pheasants. And yeah, it's like this is the happy time.
And this is a happy time. And speaking of happy time, and Duane told me, he and I were driving along in his truck the other day, and just a good word to the wise. This is also rut season for so they're kind of.
So be careful out there because the guys kind of lose their minds. They're looking for the girls.
So be careful out there when you're driving because this is that time.
Our brown furry friends.
Brown furry friends. Okay, and later in the show today, we're going to have a couple of guests. We're going to have Jay Verno, which is a name that a lot of you guys out there and people out there might recognize. He's a big organizer to what we're going to be talking about at the show. And then we're going to have another guest on today. His name's Adam Reese. And Adam's going to be kind of giving us the specifics. And so we're going to get to that in a minute. But first we're going to just talk about some local flair. From a local perspective, and again, when this show, obviously, for you people out there that haven't seen us for the first time, this is recorded. So if we make a statement here and it's already happened, don't send me any nasty emails. Okay, but first of all, I guess from the girls volleyball. I think Cambridge Springs and Maplewood are advancing into the District 10 playoffs. So hats off to those guys. And DJ, you and I probably will have a great affinity to this next comment. Girls Meadville soccer beat Warren soccer 3-1 the other day.
Nice.
Anytime it's kind of like the Ohio State, Michigan thing. Yeah, so they actually won. They're going to be playing, and it might even be playing as we speak. But they're playing Villa tonight, which is going to be a juggernaut. But they're playing for their championship of their district. So
nice.
Yeah, good for the hats off to the Meadville girls.
It's a cold one out there to play some soccer.
Well, yeah, they should be. Yeah, they should be.
I've been out to several of their games this year. They've got some players.
Yeah.
They've got a really strong team.
Apparently,
it must be. Yeah.
Apparently that's so. If they beat Warren 3-1, and anyways, they're moving on. So congratulations to them. Meadville Bulldog football is going to be playing. I think they have to play General McLean before, and if they get past that game, they'll probably have to play Grove City. But they're into the playoffs.
The defending District 10 champion Meadville Bulldog.
That's
football.
them.
Is that what you meant?
That's what I meant to say. Also, we want to get our hats off to the Cockerton cross country team. They won their districts and they're on the way to states. So they're going to be representing Cockerton, the cross country team. Now it's a bit chilly out there to be running around in the woods, but maybe that's motivation to run faster. So our hats off to the Cockerton Cardinals for that for sure. Also, Meadville Bulldog hockey, full swing, Dage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we've been able to catch a game here, and
yeah. So we're going to be. Of course, we're DJ and I are doing. I'm doing the play-by-play. DJ's the color commentator, and you can hear us on 101.7 Cool FM radio. And our next game is going to be just run down. I'm not sure when it's going to air, but we got a game November 6th, November 13th, and then November 20th. So be looking for that on Cool. We're also streaming it, DJ. I don't know how that works. What's that all about?
Yeah, so go to the website, cool101.7.com. You find their website, and you'll be able to stream us from wherever you are. So if for some reason you're watching this show and you're not going to be able to local in the area of the geographic area where the radio is broadcast, you can stream that online. So cool101.7.com.
Pretty cool. The other thing we want to hats off to some local golfers. I think Ryan Peters. I think he finished 9th, Sagertown golfer in states. Hats off to him. I know that Will Phelan, also from Sagertown, participated in states, and then Meadville kid, Ryan Ferry, I think did well down at state. So if I miss anybody, I apologize, but hats off to those guys as well. Now, I wanted to talk about some other pro stuff. World Series, I think it's got to go Game 7.
Yep.
Houston and then LA, and they're playing in LA. So, you know me, I like the predictions. We're gonna. To be honest with you, I have no clue. Duane, pick one. Who do you like?
I forgot what's the pitching
who's
matchup
pitching?
is for that,
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Who's pitching tonight? Verlander pitched last night, so I'm not sure if that means that. who is it that would be up next? But yeah, I couldn't tell you the pitching is.
I'm gonna guess it's the time for the Dodgers.
You're going to go with the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Houston's never won before, and it's that's hanging over their head. That's going to put some extra pressure on them.
DJ?
Yeah, see, I'm going to go the other way. I think that
Houston.
I'm going to go Houston. It's hard to win anything twice in a row. I think at that level, even at home. I think that they might have a little pressure on them because they were going 3-2 into Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
But I think that they still have that hometown feel behind them. A little bit of everything that they had go on with them down in Houston. I still think that perseverance is gonna come through for them.
All right, so I'm the tiebreaker. I'm going to play safe. I'm going with the Houston Dodgers. Okay, moving right along. All right, next we're going to talk about a little bit about the Penguins on their 2-game skid right now. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They have the pleasure, I believe, tonight as well. They get to go in Edmonton to play up there. That's not going to be an easy task. So they got to pull it out. And just for the record, I think I was the one that predicted Rick Tocchet would get a head coaching job, and he did. So rewind that, and we'll just show that I predicted that was going to happen.
Check the tape.
Although he might not have that job for long. He's 11-1.
Yeah, as I say, he's not doing so hot.
Rough. And I'm making a prediction that when he gets fired from Arizona, Mario's going to hire him back. So you watch, he'll be back in the Penguin gear before long. And the other thing too is I think we all kind of didn't. I think we all were wrong, but Fleury ended up going to Las Vegas. I think we agreed that he wouldn't go. So I was on that bandwagon as well.
Just taking a note on the Rick Tocchet team, just as a side note.
Just the side note.
They were actually 0-11 and just recently won their first game in overtime. That they were winning 3-1 with, I think it was like 30 seconds left is when the Flyers tied it up.
Yeah.
And then they ended up going overtime. They ended up scoring in overtime and winning the game finally. But it's one of the worst records I think starts.
No kidding.
So the Penguins 2-peat now, going to a 3-peat. That's a hard. what's that? Going back into the 70s?
That's Islanders.
Probably the Islanders.
The chances of that, boy,
are slim to none, especially with the salary cap.
Right.
And I'll tell you what. And again, we had this conversation before, and I think hats off to people like Sidney Crosby and Malkin to some degree, and I think Fleury a little bit too. But I know Crosby for sure. When it was like Malkin signing time and Fleury signing time, Letang. I mean, to me, I've never been a millionaire, but I think if you're going to make $56 or $70 million, 120, what's the difference? I'm thinking that, and I could be wrong, but I think let's put this money back into the team. He wanted to win, so some of they were going to give him this, crazy raise, and he's like, no, let's pay these guys to keep him here. I want to win another trophy, and that just shows you the character of this kid.
Yeah, restructure.
All right, back to the reason why we're here tonight. Hold your seats. We've all talked about it in one form or the other. And don't tell me you haven't out there, because we all have. When we watch the Winter Olympics, we all pick our one sport. We all pick either it's hockey, but somehow we all kind of congregate what's happening at the curling, whatever they call it, rink, alley, or whatever. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're going to do some crazy stuff here about curling. Now, before we have our guests come on, Adam and Jay, to talk about curling and give us the truism about it, we're going to play a little bit to tell the truth here. So grab your papers and pencils. There's going to be a break before they come on and disclose it, but we're even going to disclose it before we get there. But we're going to we're going to have a little fun here. We're going to give you 3 renditions. Well, actually, we all think this is how it happened. So this is how the game of curling was discovered. Okay, we're going to start with you, Duane, and we'll go to DJ, and I'll finish her up.
Well, I was told that curling came from Canada way back in the 1800s. And of course, in Canada, wintertime is a lot longer than it is here. And there's a lot of outdoor activities that go on, and ice fishing, of course, is a famous one. So the fishermen would use the curling technique to send buckets, for their captured fish and for their bait back and forth. And the twisting part of it, you had to avoid the other guy's hole cut through the ice, so you had to put that little twist to it so you could move around that. So I'm going to stick with that.
That's a good one. DJ, what do you think?
So, my generation would say, I found this on the internet, so it has to be true.
It has to be.
Google it. You can Google anything.
You can Google anything. So I did a little research myself, and I got my little cheat sheet here. So what I found on the internet was that back in the 16th century in Scotland, the game was invented actually on frozen rivers using river rocks to shoot towards a target. So that's what I found on the internet.
That sounds too simple. I don't know.
What I think I don't know. I mean, like I said, you said Google Yahoo, they couldn't lie.
I don't think it was a fishing.
I don't think it was
fishing.
I think the real true story is, and I'm the host of the show, so who are you going to believe? I think it was originated in Finland, actually, and back in I believe it was around the 1700s somewhere, where they needed to keep their food cold, so they, like Eskimos, had to cut holes in the ice. And when they cut blocks of ice, instead of just the horses they didn't want to go on the ice, so these guys would throw these ice cubes, bigger ice cubes, to the bank, and then somebody would put them on a cart, and then they would take them away, and then some guy that was sitting up there, just whatever, was yodeling or whatever he did, he said, hey, this might be a fun game. So that's how they invented curling. So those are the three choices. This is what we're going to do. So we're going to let you think about it for a while. Okay, time's up. Okay. So we're going to do like to tell the truth moment before we can disclose it later. But okay, so whoever told the true and untold story, okay, we'll have you stand up. Okay, so ready? Whoever's telling the truth, go ahead and stand. There it is.
I told you, DJ doesn't lie.
DJ's the truth teller.
My back's a little sore. That's why I couldn't get up.
I couldn't get up anyway. I believe it happened all the way around the block. So, anyways, we're gonna have some special guests on a little bit just right after our first break here. Adam Reese and Jay Verno going to come in and talk about curling at the Mark. And with that said, we all know that the Mark stands for Meadville Area Rec Complex. But because we're doing something new now, we got hockey and now we got curling on there. It could be also considered a multi-arena for recreational creativity. Creation. I don't know if they're going to change that. We'll have to take it to the board. So we might, with the Mark, we might.
Maybe the fishermen will be out there sliding their big buckets back and forth.
All right.
Looking for the trucks.
So we're going to go to our first break. While our second segment and our third segment, we're actually going to be on the ice with the boys doing a little curling. So get a drink, sit down, and enjoy the show. Thanks. Welcome back to Good Sports Next Generation. As you know, I'm Dan Craven, and we have our guest with us, as I promised you we would have. Of course, DJ's going to flank far right now, and Duane's going to flank me far to the left. But to my immediate left, Jay Verno, welcome.
Thank you.
No stranger to this kind of things. How you been?
Excellent.
Good to see you.
Excellent.
Yeah, and Adam Reese. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's the first time I think we met. Yeah, so the whole idea here now is to get the whole truth and to understand the game of curling, because if you wanted me to tell you, I'd really screw you up. So these guys are going to help us with that. So anyways, let's get back to first of all, quickly, let's start with you, Adam, with regards to curling, and just briefly, to the layman. You see it all the time on the Olympics. People love it, but maybe a brief. What's going on? What do you know? What do you think the people need to know about curling?
So the game's measured in ends. You can think about it like innings in baseball.
Okay.
We throw all the stones down. That's an end. We throw them all back. That's another end. In the Olympics, they play 10. Most clubs play 6 or 8. And the idea is to be closest to the button, which is the center of that bullseye thing, right? That's called a house. The dead center is called a button. Only one team scores per end.
Now, if it was me and I called it the house, I'd call the middle of the kitchen.
There you go.
Why the button? Because seriously.
I did not name any of the parts
I
of the
understand,
game.
but
I'm
that's
just telling you what they're called.
All right, so and you throw stones or rocks? What's the terminology?
Either would be appropriate.
Either is appropriate. And they're special. These are special things that are made. I saw this in How It's Made once. These rocks or stones.
They're granite, and the granite comes from 2 places in the world. It's either from Wales or from Scotland.
Exactly. Very good. Now, and how many people are on a team?
4 on a team, total 8 playing against one another at a time.
And is the object similar to shuffleboard?
It's very similar, yeah. Ice makes it a little bit different in that you can kind of control the path of the rock. You can sweep and straighten that rock out. You can make it go a little bit further by sweeping. And clearly they're a lot heavier than a shuffleboard puck.
There you go. So that was all.
I jump in on the other guy's puck whenever they're shooting it down, whenever they're rocking, they're shooting down, trying to mess theirs up. Are you allowed to do that?
No, you're not allowed to do that. You can knock it. You can throw a takeout shot and knock it out of that house, but you can't hit it with your broom or whatever.
So when you see people rubbing the ice, does that make does that make the rock go faster or slower?
It will carry the rock further. It doesn't make it go faster. It makes it slow down less, and it makes it curl less. So if you're afraid it's going to hook too far from where you want it to be, you can sweep harder and it'll go straighter.
So I guess to Duane's point, if you threw a stone from your end to that end, pretty good, huh? And you were going to get it on. You were going to get it on the button.
You're rocking it then.
Yeah, I'm rocking it. if you wanted, you looked like you were going to land on the button. Duane, he can't do.
Not if he's your team captain would call what he wants his team to do. The opposing team can't interfere with your rock.
Oh. Now, so there's no full contact curling. I mean, people won't go out there with. There's none of that.
You don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that.
But isn't there a certain point where they can start? The opposing team can start grooming. Isn't there a certain point in the house, like the center line?
The opposing team captain or skip can sweep it out. If you hit a stone and they wanted to try and carry it further to get it out of the house, they can sweep at it after the center of that button or this place called the T line.
After they touched.
Yeah, after the T line.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
gotcha.
Yeah. Very good. So, the shoes. I mean, I don't, it's a wonderful thing we're having here, but I got to believe, like, because you see these funny shoes, they run on their toes and they slide.
Yeah, so the bottom of one of them has Teflon on it, and that's how you slide out, and you can put something over top of it if you want it to stay grippy or not slick. You can cover that part up.
And what's on the other end of that broom? Is it? I mean, what's the material on the other end?
It's just like a nylon type material. Yeah.
And have you played professionally? Member of a club? Were you like from Minnesota or something?
No, I haven't played professionally. Just club curling. Here, my wife and I previously belonged to a club near Cleveland.
Oh, no kidding. So how long have you been doing this? Curling. This is good.
Probably over 5 years. I don't know. After a while, you lose count.
No, I get it.
Over
But
5 years.
I'm excited about this because we've always talked. You're watching the Olympics, and there's two things you watch. At least two things I watch: is hockey and when is the curling match on? And you're watching these people from Finland, and I get a kick out of it because they're yelling at each other. And nobody's know what they're saying. But
yeah, and you'll see us yelling at each other in a little bit.
that's pretty good. So
What are the things that they're yelling back and forth? Because it doesn't make any sense.
The team captain at the end is basically telling people whether or not they want them to sweep or whether they want them to keep the brims up off the ice. And they're pretty enthusiastic about it. That's what all the yelling is about.
What's why? I mean, if it's not turning enough, or if it's
right, yeah, if it's
down,
coming onto the line that they want it, or if they think it's going to stop before they want it, like they want to get on.
Get rid of friction. That's all you're doing.
Pretty much. Yeah.
now another game that that was invented or was way over there. Of course, golf has a lot of etiquette and that kind of stuff.
Right. Both games came from Scotland. Golf.
Yeah. What is the etiquette? Now, in other words, if you're ready to throw a rock. I mean, for me to go down there and like do something really bad, like lay on the ice and go,
right? Yeah, you'll distract one another. But at the end of the game, the winners do buy the losers a drink. So.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, like when we play, it looks like the
So after you beat me, you can buy me a sarsaparilla.
I can do that. I mean, like
we all set.
Yeah, because I know, like in the bar, you play that shuffleboard. There's all kinds of stuff going down on the other. So the team that's at that end, that's their team's not throwing a rock. They have to stand a certain distance away.
Yeah, it's generally good etiquette to be off to the side of the house so you're not interfering with the shot. And if somebody makes a good shot, whichever team they're on, everybody says, "Hey, nice shot, good rock, congratulations," that sort of thing. But it's a pretty social game. You get a chance to talk to everybody on both teams while you're playing. It makes the winter go by fast.
Are there officials? In other words, so in other words, I guess if it's like horseshoes, my rock's closer to the button, and who makes that final decision?
At the Olympics, there's officials. Here, it's you call your own fouls.
It's kind of like basketball in the schoolyard,
right? Yeah.
And so that can get heated, though.
Maybe a little more polite than basketball in a schoolyard, if I remember basketball in a schoolyard.
Jay, we'll get to you in a minute, so don't go away.
I won't go away.
Why is it? I mean, I got an idea why they call it the hammer, but why is it that last rock called the hammer?
It's a huge advantage in scoring because only one team scores at a time. So being able to throw that last rock is a big advantage in being able to score.
Is it sort of like volleyball or whatever? You score the point, now you get to serve. I mean, who determines on that end who has the hammer?
So to start the game, there's a coin flip, and if you win the coin flip, you can either pick which handle color of rocks you want, or if you want the hammer, you always take the hammer.
I was going to say, who cares what color? Sort of different.
If you curl in one club or whatever, frequently some rocks behave differently. They could have a scratch or something on them that makes them not behave right. So you might want to pick which rocks, but I've never seen anyone do it. Everybody always says they want the hammer, which is the opportunity to go last. And then, provided you keep scoring points, you get to keep the hammer. The other team would have to score
More
or steal an end from you to get the hammer away from you.
With the appropriate broomage, how far can somebody, a professional, make that stone turn? I mean,
with sweeping, they would carry that rock maybe 15 to 20 feet further than it would normally go.
How far could you turn it right to left?
When you sweep, you're actually taking the curl out of the stone. It's running straighter when you sweep, but there could be as much as 3 to 4 feet of curl in a end. So when I throw the stone towards where the skip told me to throw the stone, if nobody touches that rock, it could end up 3 or 4 feet to the left or right of where they told me to shoot, which the team captain's taking into consideration.
Can you take it right or left?
Yes, so if I want it to end up that direction, I'm going to hold the handle off to one side, and the stone rotates as it goes down.
As I release it, I'm going to...
Right, as you release it, you kind of bring the handle back to center, and the stone will rotate.
And you do the same thing.
Right, you do the
Kinda
same
like
thing the other
bowling a
direction.
bowling ball.
Yeah, sort of like putting a hook on a bowling ball.
So there's definitely got to be some the feel for it is really the weight that you're putting on the stone, on how far you're going to throw it.
And people say it's heavy, it's light when they throw, as far as when it leaves the person throwing the stone. They know, but the skip is also looking down the ice going, I don't think it's going to get where I want, and that's
when
where the yelling starts coming.
That's good stuff. So what are we missing here? What are the technical end? We're going to get to Jay on the how this all happened in Meadville portion of it, but I guess you're the technical mastermind here. So what other questions are we asking?
I got a question.
That's good.
So we've got obviously here at the mark that we'll see the 4 different circles here, and it's obviously a temporary setup because it's currently
the ice is a little bit different to curl on versus skating ice.
Right. Yeah. So I would imagine there's something that and we're kind of watching them do it now, getting ready for it. That they're going to be doing something different as far as the actual cutting of the ice.
Right. And I'll go get busy out of here in a moment. So they do a regular resurfacing, and then they come back and do a dry cut, because skating ice has that like glossy shine that we're used to see.
Right.
And curling ice is pebbled, where it has like a texture to it.
Okay.
So it's sort of, the best thing I can say about it is it has like an orange peel type texture to it. And so once they cut the gloss back off of it, we basically have like a gravity-fed backpack to a sprinkler head that puts the water going upwards, and in a fan-like motion, we'll sprinkle water across that. Same water comes out of the Zamboni. It's going to put water droplets on the ice that puts that orange peel.
And then that'll freeze, and then that's what you need. Okay.
And then to put it back to skating ice, they just do a regular resurface. The cutter on the Zamboni takes that right off and puts down the skating ice gloss again, and it's back to ready for hockey or figure skating or whatever everybody wants to do here.
Right, so then obviously there's some sort of sides, I'm assuming then as well too, that go to kind of create your lanes.
Here we put down a couple of cones that just sort of denote a couple of markers on the ice, but we repebble the whole surface just so that you're not stepping from pebbled ice to non-pebbled ice, so it's safe for everybody when they're on it.
It's a lot safer to walk on the ice when it's ready for curling than it is normal.
I would imagine.
A lot safer.
It's like after
everybody needs to know that you can wear sneakers on that ice. I've never walked on that ice on sneakers before and lived to tell about, right?
Right, yeah.
That's right.
So it's a big difference, and a lot of people don't know that. That's one of the reasons why they don't have to have special shoes, at least at this level. We're just having it for fun. So.
Yeah, if you come out to try curling, we have everything everybody needs to try it. We've got all the brooms, and you mentioned the shoes. We have basically a step-on device you can just step on with a tennis shoe that'll allow you to slide out. They'll allow you to slide out when you deliver a stone. If you
fancy bowling shoes.
If you get into it and you want to buy curling shoes and your own stuff, that's down the road. But just
if you're trying out for the Olympics, you should do that. But if you're just coming here to play, you don't need to do that.
If you come to one of our Learn to Curl events or Experience Curling, where you just basically get to try all aspects of the game, and you want to come out on a Wednesday night when you see our events advertised, we have everything you need. Just dress appropriately for being in a rink and you're all set.
I want to do it because I want to be that guy that after he throws it and the knee's on the ice, I want to do that. Watch those guys.
You wouldn't need to skip in the house because they're the only ones that don't sweep all day. That sweeping is where the hard work.
But that's so funny because they're like, as soon as I got, and then they stop right away. I always wanted to be that guy.
Yeah. Especially when you start yelling in a different language. That's even better.
I know what I yell in English, but I don't know what they yell in Swedish.
It's wonderful. Yeah, no, we're going to get down there, I think, on the third part of the show. We're going to get down there.
How's the scoring work?
So
Good question.
only one team scores. You have to be closest to the center of that bullseye or the house to score. So if I have 3 rocks closest, it would be 3-0, right, for that end. If I've got 1 and you've got 1 close and I've got 2 out, it's 1-0, right? Because I would have to have all mine closer than any of yours. So.
And you have to be in the house.
In the house to score, right? So if nobody gets inside the house for whatever reason, the ice is slow or he didn't sweep hard enough when you were yelling at him, and nobody gets in there, then it's
I didn't get
sweep. Then it's just a blank end, and you would just put a 0 on the scoreboard for that end.
Just for clarity, you just the rock just has to be touching any part
of that circle.
Okay.
Correct.
So I don't know, I've never seen it like 0-0 at the end, but is there like overtime, sudden rock or whatever? The first,
in club curling, no. I think at the Olympics, what they do for a tiebreaker, they would play another end, and the other thing I've seen in some competitions is if it's tied, then the 2 team captains basically do a draw to the button for basically 1 stone. You think about it like as a shootout.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think you got to scoot down there to get the ice ready. So Jay, you stay here. We'll let you scoot out. We're going to keep going with this segment, but I think we're going to. Yeah, you're welcome. Well, we might get some conversation time on the ice if you're available. While people are rocking away down there. And but we'll see you down there. But you go get the ice ready, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks
for being on. All right, take care. Yeah, DJ, I'll have you tighten up. All right, here's Jay Verno. We all know Jay. Jay, thanks for being aboard.
Thank you for coming.
I think you kind of spearheaded this whole thing, didn't you?
Well,
Tell us the history about this.
All right, so Adam reached out to the rec and said, he'd like to discuss the idea of bringing curling to Meadville. And, I really, other than like a lot of us that watched it on the Olympics, I didn't know much about what would be required in terms of what do you do to the ice. And obviously we know we've got a very, very vibrant ice hockey community, and we're looking for ways to, candor, sell as much ice as we can, but primetime ice is at a premium, right? Everybody wants primetime ice. So my thought was, well, if there's a way that we can open it up and sell some ice time during the day, on non-prime time, and that may be later into the night. Think about college kids. What do they want? They may not necessarily want to come out and play ice hockey, although I think we have some clubs that do that.
Right.
They are only one club. If we could get intramurals and maybe curling and other things going on after hours, that's great. What I didn't realize is that now when you're not dealing with super slick ice, it's a lot safer. So older people, myself included, can go on the ice, feel safe, feel comfortable, and say, okay, this is something I might want to do in a league environment. So Adam brought the idea to us, and what really impressed me was he brought it with a business plan. He said, here's what the expenses are. The rocks, the stones are a big expense. They're expensive.
I would imagine.
He said there might be a way that we could the club could lease to own those. And I'm like, okay, that brings your cost down. So if they as a club can make this work financially, we just want to sell ice. That's what the Mark wants to do. Now, here's where it's come from that initial meeting, which was probably January, February, to what are we going to do? Well, I told him, I said, you help me put this together. We'll market the hell out of it because it's new, it's exciting, and I know people 4 years ago when the Olympics were on will say, we should have curling. Well, this is somebody who could actually do it. He knows about it, he's organized, he's very, he communicates really, really well, so he lets us know if he needs something. All that having been said, if this was a 2-person idea, doesn't get there. So we immediately started reaching out, and we found out there are people in Meadville that were going down to Pittsburgh. He's from, I think, Girard, going to Cleveland to curl once a week. Think about it, it's a 90-minute drive during the worst time of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably on 90, and we're like, why not do it in Meadville? We could draw from about, I'll say, an hour away from Erie, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo. We're right in the middle.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a no-brainer once I found out that we didn't really have to invest, the rec didn't have to invest anything more to be able to do this. Think about that. No additional cost. We set the ice up for them one time. They curl all night. And my goal is to actually be able to have people curl in the next morning too. So different clientele, different group. Won't be the same people that are working day shift, but we've got already some overtures from a couple of social service agencies and some actual retirement communities, and this might be something they'd be looking at. There's actually adaptive curling that you can set up for people who cannot necessarily bend down and do the whole range of motion. it's a great thing. Think about it. Shuffleboard on ice is the way I explain it to people.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, Meadville needs something else to help us get through the winter. What a great way to do it. And if we can sell more ice time that's not being used right now, you know what happens to that kind of money. It goes right to your bottom line and helps maintain and help the rec be long-term viable.
Jay, all of our long-term Armstrong customers, before it was Armstrong, it was CTV 13, and one of the channels that was, the limited number of channels was Channel 10 from Canada. And Saturday afternoon, it seemed like it was forever, but there was curling on Saturday afternoon. I remember as a kid watching that. Like, boy, is that neat. And then it'll be on the Olympics, and,
Right.
So it's something that there's been, but never a way to try it, nearby. So it's like, this is so cool.
And I would agree. I mean, you talk to people in any circle, as young as DJ and as old as us, you say, hey, let's go ahead and try riding a bull. Nah, I'm not going to do that. Or hey, let's go play that. But you say, hey, you ever watch curling? That looks like it'd be pretty fun to do. Everybody, I have a lot of people. I've had more people say, yeah, that looks like fun, and like you're just getting the appetite wet with these guys. So then what happened? So we get these stones and
So I mean, he basically had a concept. And again, some financial plans in terms of what we could do. And I said, okay, what's the first thing we have to do? Well, back then we were wrapping up our last ice season, and we wanted to kind of make it. How do we do this when the ice comes back on and make it efficient? So the big thing was to get the actual houses painted on the concrete surface before the ice goes on. There's other ways to do it. They're more temporary and they're very labor intensive. And I was like, okay, don't really want to be doing that this first year. So we went to the Meadville Area Rec Foundation, which is now very, very active, and they're raising money. I think some of you know that we just had a big concert this past year, brought in a lot of people and some extra money that is going specifically to capital type costs. That concert was so successful that this group said, look, if you're going to bring something brand new that's going to help us long term with revenue and more engagement, that they would volunteer to pay for the actual painting of the houses. And you can see they put them on there. One of the big concerns is how would that impact the hockey community? Nobody's had any issues.
We can personally attest. We play every week, and you don't even know that.
You don't even know that.
You don't. You're not focused on that, and we were hoping that would be the case.
It is the case.
And I was nervous about it until it happened, and we just said, let's communicate. And there are coaches around here that had played in mixed-use arenas before, where they knew that curling was also going on, and nobody's had an issue with it.
Yeah.
So we follow through with that. We get that done. The second part was, and I think Adam was very smart, his committee, and he does. He has some people that form the club. It's the French Creek Curling Club.org. So they have their own website. They have a Facebook presence. They're having all the signups for these learner curls on Eventbrite. So the point is that he's very organized and he had a good business plan. I recognized that pretty early on and said, okay, what do we need to do to make this happen? Started talking to end user groups about, hey, we're going to need at least one night to carve out and make this happen. At the end of the day, we're going to sell more ice, which ultimately will keep their cost for ice time as low as we can keep it. And we're going to become even more viable because we're spreading our, for lack of a better word, our sales over a much wider demographic. All right?
Right.
I mean, let's face it. The reality is Meadville's not a hotbed for population growth. People aren't having the same amount of kids that they used to. What we do have is a growing group of adults that are aging up. And this is something that we can appeal to them for. And guess what? Those are the people that have some more disposable income. Those are the people that might sponsor a dashboard ad or might sponsor other things going on. It's just a win-win if you think about marketing and demographics. We're expanding our market.
So I come out here, you talked earlier about shoes. I mean, what do I do? Is there a cost? I mean, do I have to pay ahead of time? Do I pay, am I on a team? I used to talk about sneaks. So kind of that demographic.
So you've got, the learner curls have been very successful, and we've had already 2 of them. Tonight's our 3rd learner curl. Next week, the 8th of November, is our 4th learner curl. And we're hoping to get as many people to talk it up and to try it as possible. There are going to be some people who say, well, I couldn't make the learner curls. I still want to try it. we're trying to work out the details of how we do that with what I would call the walk-up people. But we're trying to get this out to as many people now, because if we get enough people to sign up for the leagues, this is a viable thing that happens for the next 10 to 12 weeks. It's also, the beauty part of this is that I can have teams sponsored by companies. So for instance, there's probably going to be a Hagen Business Machines sponsored team. And we may have more than 4 people on the team, because only 4 can play at a time. But I may need to have some subs. I may need to have people that have, I can't make every Wednesday.
Right.
So, okay, let's have a sub or 2 or 3, so that we can make sure we field the team every week, just like any other league.
Yep.
Right.
Just like a bowling league.
Yeah,
just like it, right?
Yep.
Let's face it, bowling's big in this area. Now curling could be big. It's something different. There are people that, for whatever reason, don't want to bowl or don't like bowling. They might try this. I can tell you, it's very social, and as loud as the yelling could be, it's not. I don't think it's as loud necessarily as a bowling alley. That's just my opinion. We know that afterwards, the people. It's been so social where they've actually not wanted to stop. We've had sort of a hard stop at 9 for these events, so we could debrief afterwards and make sure everybody's getting training. Make sure, and believe me, I'm not a trainer. I'm just an enthusiastic follower.
Yeah.
These guys are showing us how to do it, and I'm seeing some excitement that I haven't seen in 16 years of being on the mark board. It's kind of refreshing, and it's definitely reinvigorating.
Yeah, it is nice. It's good to see the mark get used. Right, I mean that's the whole.
And it's being used by a different segment. So think about it. These are people that I haven't been in the mark in maybe 20 years. They're now going to come. There's a reason to come.
Yeah, or maybe at all.
Or maybe at all.
Maybe not at all.
And I was surprised. There actually were people from Meadville that were curling in other areas. There's no curling in Erie. There's no curling anywhere near close to us. It's all either Pittsburgh, Cleveland, or Buffalo at this point. We're right in the middle. Yeah. So there's potential that people that really are into the sport might want to come here for additional curling opportunities, because normally in any arena it's usually 1 night a week. Yeah. It's not like it's a full-time thing.
Unless you're in Minnesota and they have curling.
They
curling rinks.
It's like a bowling match. Right.
They have dedicated curling rinks, and they also have in some cases outdoor rinks, which I'm not sure how we would do here. I'm not going there. I'm looking for simple that leverages our existing infrastructure, our existing equipment.
Well, I can tell you, as you said earlier, echoing what you said, from a hockey perspective, it has no impact at all in the game. Not from my perspective.
You almost would think it would. I mean, I was thinking, I was like, oh man, these things are going to be distracting, but they weren't. I mean, it's just like, the bulldog that's on the rink just inside the blue line, or the Allegheny Gator that's just inside the blue line. You don't notice those things either. So if you're thinking about it, it really doesn't. It's not something that you need to pay attention to, so you don't. It's amazing on how much your mind goes away from that. It's just like having a cage on.
That's right.
You go out there with a cage. I have no idea I have a cage on. I don't know what it's like to play with a cage on. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, well, yeah, but you have to see through those bars. It's like, what bars?
Yeah, you don't.
I've never played and said, boy, I wish these bars were on my face.
Yeah.
Hey, James, the rink itself has been 40.
Good point.
1 years,
41.
41. So the machinery that makes the ice that makes it all work. That's got to be getting up there now. Thoughts about that for down the road?
Sure. Well, that's a big project for us right now. While this is going on, we have another project running at the same time. We have to learn how to walk and chew gum. Our ice chillers are 40 years old. Our ice chillers are dangerously close to being out of service, right? So it's not a doom and gloom thing. We've got a lot of good things going on, but the bottom line is this is a project now where we don't really have the option of, well, let's think about it. We need to move ahead. So we actually have a subcommittee, and I can tell you one of the gentlemen that's helping me tremendously while I can do these things is Roger Gilday is heading up a subcommittee that's looking at how do we quickly get, I'll say, bids and all the information we need on what chillers to get. That's important to spec it out. The second part is how would we make this work without shutting the rink down doing this turnover, right? The best time to put chillers on are during the winter time, apparently. And I don't know how you do that without shutting us down, but his ideas are that we can actually do this while the other chillers are running, and the idea would be to switch over when it makes sense.
Right? Kind of like a heart transplant. You take
or a hot
heart
swap.
out,
In our business,
you put this guy on a pump while you're putting the other one in.
We call hot swaps. If we take, for instance, a printer and it's being used, and somebody says, well, this printer needs to be replaced, there's a way to do that. You can do it with least amount of interference.
You're just trying to minimize your shutdown.
Exactly.
Well, he's a good guy. I mean, he's got to get bids and kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
He's a good guy to have on that board.
That's
The question too, the technology has improved. This is a question. You know, in the 40 years, I mean, are there going to be more, less chance of breakdowns, with the new stuff?
I think at the end of the day, you're going to find multiple advantages. One is efficiency. We know that in our initial looking at this project, that the estimates are that we're going to probably save $15,000 a year just on electric cost.
Yeah.
Just that alone. Forget about chemicals and water usage and all these other things. So there's going to be hard numbers that we can save money that's coming right out of our operating budget, right?
Yeah.
So what we got to do is got to figure out how to pay for this. So it's a big capital cost. It's approximately $300,000. And we don't have that in our bank account to write a check. So what we're going to do is we're getting proposals now and say, okay, what's the lowest cost we can get a good system that we can hang our hat on for a long time. I don't know if we're going to get 40 years, but hang our hat on for a long time. We want to figure out a way to pay down on that right off the bat so we don't have to borrow as much. We borrow the money, the difference, and then we got to go out and fundraise and say, okay, how do we pay that off real fast?
Right.
We don't want to tie this into a 10 or 15 year note, but initially we may have to.
Right.
I'm all about leveraging money, and trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? But if I can save, think about it, if I can save 50, that's almost enough to make up the difference. Now it's not, there's still going to be some principal involved, but immediately we're going to see a much better operation. And yes, they will be more efficient. I know that there's other benefits to doing this, but I haven't been able to keep up with all the technical issues on it because, quite frankly, that's a whole separate committee, and that's what I love about the rec. When we ask people for help, they step up, and people wonder why I get so involved. I've never had something like this. Like when I grew up, I didn't have anything like the rec. So when I came to Meadville, I said, wow, this is pretty cool that we have this. Now I kind of feel responsibility to help maintain it, but yes, we want to move it ahead for the next 4 years.
All right, good deal. Any other questions before we kind of get closed off? I see that they're getting the ice ready to go, so we're going to need to step down there, and so we're not miss our curling opportunities. But you got any other questions?
I'm looking forward to giving it a try.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Get you out on the ice.
You don't have a shotgun because someone's going to yell. You're going to see something fall.
Yeah.
You're not going to don't shoot at it. Do you have anything to follow up on?
No, I think I'm good. I'm excited to get out there, and one thing we didn't mention, I did a little research. I want to be the guy getting out of the hacks. That's the
the hack.
That's the thing. That's the actual part that you actually push off of. That's called the hack.
Yep. Oh,
yeah, that's what I want to do.
He's got
Get out of the hack.
He's got the lingo. I didn't know it was called hack.
DJ's a hacker.
That's right.
All right, Jay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll cut away. We'll be back, and we'll see you on the ice. Back. We got Jay and Duane doing some serious brewing out here. We're actually on the ice here. I think DJ's going to get into hack. The hack is that little area that you push off of. So let's see what happens here. If we can get a shot of DJ, he's going to be in the hack now. He should be coming down this way. And I think Duane and Jay are going to be doing the brooming. All right, you guys going to broom here, Duane? Maybe I should get out there with a broom. All right, Dave, let's see what you have, buddy. DJ's in the hack. He looks like he's a sprinter ready to go. And he's off. Boy, that was he's just going to have to stick to hockey, because I'll tell you what, that wasn't a very good attempt right there. He's going to have to try it again. Well, of course, it's hard. You got those little nylon things that aren't attached to your shoe, but, for beginners, that's a good thing. So we got Duane out here, and Jay Verno are going to be the broomers. DJ's going to try it again. He's got to get himself back. And it looks like starting blocks for a sprinter, but they're called hacks. All right, here we go again. And he's off. He's letting the stone go. He's going to start. Yell at him, DJ. Yell at him. Hurt. That's, yell at him. Keep yelling. Up. Boom. Duane, you're not brooming. So what does that do? So quickly, here, Adam. I know that this is probably the line you have to throw the rock by.
Yeah, you have to let go of it when you're throwing that direction. You have to let go of it before you get there. And when you're going towards the house, it has to clear that line.
Has to clear the line, so that line plays twice.
So you got that one in play.
Yeah, boy. So that would have been in play. So we were ahead of this line. So we didn't get it all the way to the house, but he got it partially to the house. You're gonna go back the other way.
Might as well use the advantage.
Sure. All right, coming back the other way. We zoom in on getting that hack there, Deej.
In the hack there, Pops.
Oh,
in the
boy,
hack.
sweep.
Not to it. Just keep on your feet.
Sweep. Oh, I'm good at this. Hey, Kevin, I'm doing Jeff. I'm sweeping. Great. Give it a roll, Deej.
Here comes the hammer.
All right there, hammer. Almost hammered himself into the hot! Sweep! What a shot, DJ!
That's a hammer. On the button.
It was in the house. Go, Jay. Here we go. Jay's in the house. Verno is in the house. Jay is in the house. He's in the kitchen. That's what I'd call it. Yeah. And we're rolling. Here we go. Get her down there, Jay. Looking good. Go, Deej, sweep. Good rock, Jay. Oh, a little too much. All the way through the house. Just a little bit too much. I'll tell you, it's all about the technique. And Jay didn't have it. I'll tell you. But that was a good try. You notice I'm not out there doing it because I got a commentary. All right, now what's going to happen here now? Okay, what we're going to do at this point, we're going to close it up here. We're going to say thank you to Jay and Adam for letting us come to the mark with Duane and, of course, with DJ. Just curling is in, man. I mean, it's a thing to do. So when you get a chance, get to that website that we're going to be posting on the screen that Jay talked about earlier. Hope we see you out at the mark. And so until next time, see you later.